Are you a new homeowner, or maybe you've owned a home for a while but are wondering what are some of the most common home defects found on home inspection reports? Well, if that is you, you have come to the right place, because I have Robin here with 406 Home Inspection Pros, and he has offered to join us today and kind of dive into some of these nitty-gritty defects that are often found on inspection reports. I am Janet with Radiant Realty, your Montana Realtor. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and stay a while, and don't be shy. I love reading your comments and answering any questions you have. Also, if you do find anything in here helpful or useful, please do give a big thumbs up. And if you have further questions at the end of this video, I will leave Robin's contact information in the description box below, or you can feel free to call me anytime at 406-890-5390, and I would be happy to help. All right, let's get into it.
The most common reason that we find defects with a home, other than wear and tear, is homeowner modifications. And that's okay, because it's important to understand that it's their home and they can make the changes that they want, and the quality of the modifications are affected by their skill set, by their budget, by what they consider to be okay. So those are the most common reasons we find defects in a home outside of just wear and tear in a home, is homeowner modifications. So probably the most destructive thing that we find in homes has to do with water. Water coming off the roof, getting down around the foundation, causing cracks. Water is essential for mold to grow. Water is essential for rot to grow. A lot of things outside of when you get into the electrical system, the root cause is water. So controlling water around a home may seem like a small item in an inspection report, but in the long term, it's going to make the biggest difference, probably of anything you can do outside of safety concerns. Okay, so talking about water and some simple things that you can do to your home to make it fare better, if you will, with water, is rain gutters. We see about half the houses that we inspect don't have rain gutters. The purpose of a rain gutter is to control the water coming off of the roof and get it away from the foundation. So whether you have a metal roof, an asphalt roof, or any other kind of a roof that is not super common, you still need to control the water that's coming off of it, and not just have it let go at the bottom of the downspout right next to the foundation. Since the purpose is to get it away from the foundation, you need to make sure that the water is being released 4, 5, 6 feet away from the foundation, and that the lot is graded so it continues to flow away from the home. That's probably the single biggest thing you can do to help your house when it comes to water. It's simple, it's not too expensive, and it makes the biggest difference. Another thing that we see that homeowners do to the home when they own it, and they're just trying to beautify it, is they put planters around the outside of the home, which is fine until they build them up, and they build these brick planter boxes, if you will, with the home being the backstop. The challenges that brings is the water. When they water this, if you were to take a cup and put a hose between it and put water in this cup, it would fill up in this cup too until they were equal. The same thing happens on the planter. When you water it, that water goes underneath the home and starts to affect the wood on the inside. And so you don't want to have built up planters, because what you're really doing is you're holding the water that we're talking about controlling up against the house, which is really the exact opposite of what you want to do. So another area of the home that is greatly affected by water is a crawl space, assuming you have one. In the crawl space, as you look at the floor through your hatch, or if you go down there, you should have a vapor barrier or plastic. Generally it's black, and that is there to keep the moisture that's coming up out of the soil from going up and affecting the wood framing and stuff underneath your floor, so that you can contain the vapor below it. And sometimes if you have a little bit of water down there, it happens. That's not just sitting there and pooling up and drying out up against the building. So vapor barriers are important. Also, to have ventilation down there, whether it's wall vents, or if you don't have wall vents and it's newer construction, that's called a conditioned space, that there is some sort of airflow through there of the appropriate type, so that you can control the humidity down there. Also important. And the vapor barrier helps with humidity as well. Another problem that water can bring about, or moisture in the home can bring about, is mold. Now the challenge with mold is, a typical mold inspection is to go in with great big Q-tips, of course serialized and stuff like that, so we can do a chain of custody form on them. And when we swab every single little dot that we see that we might think is mold, and we send it all off to a lab, and they come back and say, yep, that's mold. I would say that if you were to send us to any home in northwest Montana and say find mold, we probably will. The question generally is the air inside of the building affected to the point where it's going to cause me a problem by breathing there or living there? And so what we do instead, and I believe this would be a better solution, is we do what's called air testing. We'll take one air sample outside. The assumption is what's outside is inside, so expect to find it inside. Then we take an air sample every 100 to 1,000 square feet inside of the building, and we can tell you if the home is producing mold, what the strains are, how much there is, if it's over a threshold that would affect the normal person, or even over a threshold that would affect somebody very sensitive to it, and that will answer the question. And this keeps the cost down and gives you the answer that you need without necessarily pinpointing it or having to take things apart and spend hours there.
All right, well, that's all for today. I hope that was very helpful. If you were surprised by any common defects found, or if you learned anything or any tips or have additional tips, please do leave those in the comments below. I would love to hear those. Have an amazing week, and I will see you next time.